Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. Today I have for you a layout process video using my Best of Both Worlds kit, and if you don't know what that is, you can find information in the show notes. And this kit featured a color palette of coral and navy. That was the main design feature behind putting this one together. So I wasn't sure where I was going to go with a layout this time around, and so I went to one of my crafty groups and took the prompt of using nature. And so with that, I pulled out this photo of my girls with our pandemic chickens. A lot of people had pandemic pets at the beginning of the pandemic, and we ended up replacing our chicken flock since it had been decimated by some raccoons. And I pulled out this little sheet of pattern paper that features mushrooms and snails and worms, and while it is a very cute print of pattern, which is not my typical style, I knew my daughter really likes all these cute little critters, so I bought that paper to feature on her layout. So this paper definitely plays into the nature theme and works with her personality. And then I'm pairing it with this house print theme because of the pandemic and being at home so much. Those two worked really well together. And I'm using that die cut piece, and it's a Shimelle product from one of her paper lines, and it features these little pop-out pie wedges, and I am using that as a stencil basically to create my own pie wedges with these two sheets of pattern paper. And I did manage to keep the pattern cutting so that I could still use a good portion of the rest of that paper. Now I lined up the stencil portion back onto my background, which is going to be that coral kind of polka dot print from Simple Stories. And I am inserting my pieces back into the template, and that's going to help hold everything together while I glue it all down. And here it is glued down, and I pulled out that navy sheet to be a mat for my photos. But before I moved on to that, I decided these little wedge pieces needed a little more definition, so I pulled out my favorite journal pen and just lined around them to give it a bit more definition and pop on the page. And then I was ready to move on to a little bit of mixed media, and I have a star stencil in this kit and some Nuvo drops, and these are dream drops. Nuvo makes different styles of drops, and I haven't played with the dream ones yet, and they're a bit thinner than the other products that I've played with. Oh, here's a tip when stenciling with Nuvo: you need to wash that stuff off right away because it does dry fairly quickly, and it will leave a very thick mess on your stencil if you don't wipe it down right away. So I am just putting a little dot into the shape on the stencil and then just kind of spreading it with my fingers. Now you do have to hold the stencil down pretty firmly because I did get some leakage underneath, but that's okay. This is a very subtle mixed media. And then I added some just plain drops and spots to this and gave it a little tap underneath, and that helps round out the drops into actual nice domed drops. And then I went ahead and matted my photo while my Nuvo drops are drying. I am going to start building up my embellishment clusters just straight on my table. And I had these little chipboard flare pieces from Pink Fresh Studio, and I chose 3 of those to build my clusters, which I am very common to build clusters of 3. And then I have these, I think it's Kensington Craft chipboard shapes, and they come in different colors. The colors I wanted were out of stock, so I went ahead and went with gold, and that's also why I had the gold Nuvo drops in there. And I have a roll of washi tape that I'm going to work with, and then this cut apart page, or it's a sheet of, it's just a sheet of pattern paper that I see as a cut apart piece because all of those little library cards are totally journaling cards in my brain. So here I am building up those layers straight on my table. And the nice thing about washi tape is that because it is low tack, it is easy to move around and work with if you need to change things up, which you will see me do here. And I have this pack of flowers that definitely play into the nature theme that I went with this kit, or with the prompt rather, and I am going to sort through all of these and come up with the flowers that I want to use. So here you see me moving things around because I realized I wanted the journaling card to be more offset with my photo instead of lined up with the edge of the photo. And I choose colors of dark and light coral and dark blue in these flowers, and I start with the biggest clusters of flowers first, which actually just ended up being those blue ones, and then I build up layers with smaller pieces as we go. And then I'm adding in some of the other elements to these clusters. So I'm sure to add one of the chipboard flare pieces to each cluster, one of the gold hearts to each cluster, and one of the gold stars to each cluster as well. And what I found interesting is if you take a peek at that washi tape there, I kind of offset the stripes when I laid it down, and when I put my photo over it, now it looks more like a plaid or a grid, and so I didn't expect that, and it was an interesting surprise. So sometimes you can be surprised by your own process. Now I got my title going on, and I mixed uppercase and lowercase letters because this font set had that in there, and it gives it a little more whimsy, which is good with this this story about pandemic chickens. Because how many people got pandemic chickens? Actually quite a lot, because I had to wait in a long, long line in order to get our chicks this year. And I've been raising chickens for years and years. It's just that we had gone through a dry spell because of raccoons coming out during the day. So I had to solve that problem, and we were able to get chickens again. So anyway, I am starting to build up the whole format of this layout, and I tuck that washi tape underneath my photo, and it does, I do struggle with it a little bit here because for some reason everything was just looking crooked to me, so I kept playing and fussing and moving things around. Luckily, washi tape is very forgiving like that. That's one of the reasons I like it, because I can just fuss for way too long sometimes, I think. So anyway, this photo is a 5x7 print, and I knew because I was going to use just one photo on this layout that I wanted it to be a larger size, so I did set that up ahead of time. And you saw me pull out those scissors there. When all else fails and things aren't looking right, just cut them off. So I trimmed things to make it line up a little bit better for my eye and moved on. So I am just putting all of these clusters together and gluing everything down, much like you saw in my practice clusters on just straight on the table. All right, and now that I am just about done with these clusters, I kind of look at things and I realized I had a little bit more that I wanted to say than the journaling card could fit. So one of the things that I often like to do is journal around the edges of things. Sometimes I'll journal around the entire edge of the layout, but here this circle gave me a great place to add just a little bit more journaling. And I tell you, even that wasn't quite enough space. My biggest challenge with journaling is that I want to say a lot, sometimes too much. I know when I'm writing, I have to edit myself back a lot, so that doesn't flow very well with journaling because I like to just do it offhand, and sometimes it doesn't fit. So I went on the inside of the circle as well to add some more journaling. And then I was going to add some of those enamel dots that I bought to go with this kit, but the color online looked so different than when I got them in person that the dots aren't making me happy. So I'll have to see how those play out when I'm using up more of this kit. So anyway, that is the end of the layout for today. I will leave you here with a couple of still photos and feature a little bit of close-ups. And I hope you got something useful out of this video. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you could give me a like, because that does help my channel. And I will be back on Friday with another layout process video using my second kit from the month. I always build 2 a month, and you can go back and see those kit builds as well if you're interested in that. So I will see you next time.